Hi guys, and welcome to our next video. Today we are going to be looking at concrete casting. I know in our previous videos we've been looking at pewter casting, which was using the metal pewter and melting it down to a molten state and filling a mould. This time we're going to try and do something quite cool with concrete. Our starting point today is to use 2D design on the PC here. You can see I've started to use open up a blank document already. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to get my ABC tool, which is like my font tool, click on the screen, and write whatever I want the mould to say. In this case, it's going to say dope, meaning cool. Go to my settings, change it to Century Gothic, which is quite a bold font, and also I'm going to put it onto bold. I'm also going to change the height because I know I want the letters to be about 60 millimeters. So I'm just going to put in 60 millimeters there, and then go OK. Now if I press OK again, I should have my dope on the screen, which is what I want. I'm just going to move that around a little bit. So I'm going to put it up into that corner, sort of there. And also what I want to do, because I'm going to be cutting it rather than engraving it, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to fill, go no fill, so there's no fill on it. Also, a black line etches I really want to cut, so I'm going to change the line colour to red, like so. And I'm just going to quickly also put around a box, or a rectangular box around it as well, just so that I've got a background for it to sit on. And that is exactly what I'm going to cast in concrete. So the next stage for me would be to press print on this, send it over to our laser cutter, and then the laser cutter will cut out that part of my mould. Hey guys, so welcome back to our casting video. We've gone outside, lots of reasons. One, sun's out, better to be outside, but also at this point it's probably going to get a little bit messy because we're going to start to mess around with the cement. So what we've got so far is, obviously earlier in the video you saw that we were making these moulds at school. We used the laser cutter to make the letters, and we used a glue gun to glue the mould parts together. If you're doing this yourself, obviously make sure there are no gaps. I had a few gaps, so I took some masking tape and put it around just to seal those gaps. Another big rookie mistake I made earlier on was the letters need to be backwards, so make sure that if you're doing this, your letters are spelt out backwards. When I tried to do this the first time, I put them in forwards and then I had to rip them out and start again, so don't make that mistake. Other things that we've got today are things that I found around the home to try and maybe do some casting as well. So I found an ice cube tray in the shape of little fishes, so we're going to have a little go at this. I found a Costa cup, which has got quite nice sort of embossed pattern on it. I found these sort of little Christmas containers, sort of little things that you can put presents in. Again, we're going to try and maybe use these to make something like a flower pot out of. And lastly, I found this in my garden, which was part of a solar lamp at one point. Cut the top off, which you saw me do at school already, and I'm going to try and make some sort of like funky vase or plant pot holder or something out of this as well, so it's something we're going to have a little go play at as well. So the first thing I've done, and I've done this before you've got here, is I've got my mix of concrete sand together. So it's 2 parts sand to 1 part cement. Okay, now with this we're going to have to add 3/4 water to those parts as well. So what I'm going to do is, I've already got my watering can, doggy dog, and it's about 1.5, but I'm going to start with 1 and then mix it in and then try and add a little bit more as I go. So there's my 1, here's my spoon, you need to come over here, we'll go over there. So I'll do some mixing of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue mixing until I get something that looks like toothpaste. So you're going to rejoin me in a moment when I get the consistency of toothpaste, and then we're going to play around with putting it into the moulds. See you in a minute.
Ready?
So guys, we've now got our what looks like toothpaste consistency of our concrete mix, and we're ready to start to pour it. So again, the reason why we're outside is it's going to get a little bit messy. So I think we'll start with our dope mould. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it into the little holes first, I think, and give it a little pat down where the cement really needs to try and go into the holes. So we'll do that first. Give it a pat down so all the little air bubbles are being released. Make sure you're going into all those little areas at the bottom there. Also with the E, to make sure I'm getting right in there. Make sure I'm patting it down so I'm releasing any air bubbles. I'm going to give it a little shake around as well to try and get that concrete into all the little gaps. Now I can keep on filling. Give it a little shake again to level it out. Oops, dropped a bit. The edges. And when this is full, again I need to give it a good shake around to make sure it goes into all those little places, but more than anything to get rid of the air bubbles. So when it's sitting flat, I think we're pretty good there now with the amount that we've got in there. Flatten it out a little bit. Just going all the way into the edges. And this will now need to sit for about 4 to 6 hours to set. So let's give it a shake. That looks all good to me. In that way as well. Let's try one of our other shapes. Try one of these ones. So again, it's got much smaller areas where that needs to be pressed into. Try some of our fishes. Try a couple of fishes. see how that works. Put that flat. Then we'll try a light bulb. At this point it's probably a good idea because there needs to be some sort of cavity in there, needs to be a hole in there, is at this point to get whatever I'm going to make the cavity out of. So in this case I'm going to use this piece of dowel, push it down to the bottom or close to the bottom to make that cavity, and then keep on filling. Again, it's going to make a mess, I know it's going to make a mess, there's not much I can do about that at the moment. So we're now going to wait about 6 hours, and then we're going to try and pop them out and see what we got. So I'll see you in about 6 hours. Welcome back to our video. So we had a bit of a problem with our consistency of concrete and sand, and we probably think that it wasn't the right ratio. So what happened was, after 24 hours we took the mould out, and as you can see, catastrophe, it broke in half and it was quite brittle. So what we've done since then is we did a bit of an experiment. Oh, incidentally, one of our little fishes did come out quite nicely. So we've done a bit of an experiment since then. Over the last 24 hours, we tried different consistencies of cement to sand. So this one is just cement. This one is 1 part cement to 1 part sand. This one is 1 part cement to 3 parts sand. This one, thank you Shelby, is 1 part cement to 2 parts sand. And this one is 1 part cement to 4 parts sand. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and work out from these 5 moulds which one is the right consistency. Once we've worked out what the right consistency is, we can then use it over and over and over again to know that we can make a reliable product. So when you get to do this later on, hopefully at school, I will have already worked out the ratios for you, so our work at school should be perfect. So we're going to go for, I think, the first one, which was just cement. Colour's slightly different, it's much darker if you see that. So what we'll do is we're going to try and break this one out, coming out quite clean, like so. At the moment it's alright, it's not breaking. Pull the back off. Again, quite neat. Try and give it a bit of a very solid. So what we're going to try and do next is obviously take the letters out. So that was our first one, just cement. Then we got 1 part cement to 1 part sand. Let's try that one out. So this would have been our original mix from yesterday. Try and give it a bit of a, again, very solid. Then we got 1 part cement to 2 parts sand. Again, very solid. And then 1 part cement to 3 parts sand. Oh yeah, that is really solid and much thicker. And then our last one, which is 1 part cement to 4 parts sand. And it's got a lot more air bubbles in it, this. So I would probably not use this one, but go for one of these instead. Again, it's very solid, but the actual finish is a little bit more bitty, and there's a few holes where there were air bubbles as well, so probably we wouldn't go for it with this one. And if we look backwards, 3 parts sand, 1 part cement. Again, you can see there's lots of air bubbles in there. That one's probably pretty good, hardly any air bubbles in there, so that's 2 parts sand, 1 part cement. That is also looking very smooth, and probably the smoothest finish is the one that is just cement on its own. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a screwdriver to try and extract the letters out of the concrete. So I'm going to come back to this video in a minute because it's going to take a little bit of leverage and see how we get on. So I'll see you in a minute. You filming? Ooh. Filming? Oh my gosh! So sick. So as you can see, this is our, I think, our best attempt. 3 parts sand to 1 part cement. So let's put it in our little situation. Where can we put it? Let's put it here. In the garden. Take care, guys.